Hello everyone, welcome to 매일경 Knowledge Stream. I am John Moon, Professor of International Business and Strategy at Korea University Business School, and I'm here to host today's session with two distinguished guests, Mr. Luc Ramon, Executive Vice President of International Operations at Schneider Electric. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. 안녕하세요.
Your Korean is very good.
No, that's my limited Korean.
Good. And Mr. Kyung-Rok Kim, KR, Cluster President at Schneider Electric, Korea, Taiwan, and Mongolia. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's very nice to have you here. It has been almost 2.5 years since the world encountered one of the most disruptive events in recent memory, that is the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has a wide-ranging impact, including the way we do business and the way we think about how we should do business. Two big trends emerged as a result, and the first one is the emphasis on corporate sustainability in terms of ESG, environmental, social, and governance aspects of business, and the second is digital transformation. Today, I'm here with two experts who can share their insights on these important and interesting topics from the frontiers of industry. So let's start with you, Rick. I know that Schneider Electric has a wide-ranging activities as an ESG leader, and there has been a great emphasis on corporate purpose these days. So my first question to you is that what is the ultimate purpose of Schneider Electric?
Well, thanks very much. And first of all, I am really thrilled to be today with you and to be connecting thanks to the web with our customers and partners in Korea. Unfortunately, the last 2.5 years, as you were saying, are not allowed to visit Korea easily. So right. We replaced that by digital connection, and I'm happy to take this opportunity to salute all our partners and customers. Thank you for your question. And of course, you go straight to really the most core question for a company, which is what do you stand for? And basically at Schneider, we stand for sustainability since actually a long time. We are a technology company. What makes us work is our technologies, but our purpose is really to have the technologies who enable sustainability. And we started this journey a long time ago, 2 decades ago and even more, where by gradually focusing our technology developments and by implementing these technologies on ourselves as a company, we gradually enhance our level of commitment and our level of hopefully performance on how we deliver a sustainable growth and a sustainable business for the environment and for the planet. So that's now applied to us, of course. We have applied these technologies to us as a manufacturing company, as an industry. And based on the lessons learned, we are now helping our customers to go in the same direction and to go the same journey, hopefully for a successful journey towards sustainability, decarbonation, and of course, a much better environment for our planet.
Right. KR, do you have anything to add?
No, I think in principle, Rick has already said what we want to say, and what we achieve and what we learned from our own experiments, right? Throughout the long the years of devotion and efforts, and now it's time so we scale it for our customers.
Right. Thank you for your answer, in your answer about how sustainability plays a key role in Schneider Electric's goal and mission, you mentioned you wanted to be a digital partner. So my second question is, why is digital transformation so important, and what changes can you expect from digital transformation?
Yes, as you rightly point, this has been one of the key transformations over the last 2 decades. And digital is the key enabler of the sustainable journey, essentially because thanks to digital, you can break the silos. You can start to measure and understand how things are going in reality, and you can start to take action and track your action over a long period of time. And that's really what enables a sustainable journey for any kind of infrastructure. So that's why we have been focusing on digital technologies, first by enabling to connect all the various components of what Schneider does, which is electrification and automation. And thanks to these dots of connections, all related to each other in digital, we collect more data on any kind of infrastructure that we are serving. And this data can then be analyzed and help to drive action on making an airport, a railway, an industry, an oil and gas station, a large building, a small building, or a data center. All of those who are all types of infrastructure that are consumers of energy, and also that are managing very critical processes most of the time. By connecting all this on a very efficient platform, and by managing this data in a way that enables to make decisions, we enable a journey that is making these infrastructures, all of them, more efficient and hence more sustainable. That's really the journey we are in. And I have to say that the digital journey is accelerating. It has even accelerated during the pandemic. And based on this, we have been able to deploy even more remote operations, for example, thanks to augmented reality and virtual reality to enable people to work from distance.
Right.
So that's a few examples on how digital is really the main thread that is enabling this sustainability journey.
Right. And we are having this discussion using a digital platform as well. Right.
Correct.
Yeah. So the next question to you, KR. So as Rick just mentioned, we can clearly see that digital transformation has accelerated due to the pandemic. Then how should corporate executives cope with the current situation?
Yeah, I think this is a very right time. Any decision makers, corporate executives in our industries to rethink what form of industry facility process we're gonna make. Today, I think industry of the future, well, eventually industry of today, it called for unprecedented flexibility. And I think that the right answer to this question, number one is openness, and the second is more than the software. Look, industry, we have been evolving, developing with the data since many decades now. Producing the data, generating the data from the field devices and sensors. We processing the data and trying to get optimized output in order to run the machine, run the process, run the facility. But today, eventually, in many of the cases, if you look at the install bases, a lot of installations has been run by the closed protocol or proprietary systems. That limits the availability of data, data exchanges, and also the use of the data for the purpose of more scaled efficiency, more scaled, let's say, decarbonizations, and more productivity. So I think the one of the key answer number one is how open systems you are going to build and structure in your installations to make flawless data, the communications. That's number one. And what shall we do with this data? I think that what gives a sense to the data is a software. And today, especially in front of such uncertain the environments, we went through the COVID situations, and there are a lot of geopolitical challenges today, which is unforeseen. What makes the software and industrial executives to be resilient is having more software-centric the installations. How fast you can get out of hardware dependency, having a right software architectures, and how consistent the software you have in order to run the total life cycle of your investment and the facilities. For example, from basic design, detailed design, building and construction of the plant, and operating a machine. So having this software centric and driven the investment in install base will be the second answer to the equation of the future industry. I want to conclude.
Thank you. So you're emphasizing the open system rather than proprietary system, and the software-centric approach rather than hardware-centric approach of the past. Thank you. So let's narrow down the scope a little bit from the perspective of your company, 슈나이더 Electric, who is one of the pioneers in the field of automation, certainly. What do you think are the challenges facing the frontline industries today?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Actually, there are many challenges, but I believe there are common 4 challenges that any of the industrial decision makers are facing, and will face more and more. So I think the first one is about how we can operate in a remote manner. Because world becomes more the global, and the company, any company is local, but at the same time is a part of the global ecosystems and wants to expand it. So how do you run the company and operations in a remote manner? And second, the challenge is obviously nowadays we are facing and really feeling these challenges, which is the supply chain disruptions. So how do we be agile and resilient to any of the disruptions from the supply chain? Third one, unavoidable, which is carbon emission. So the carbon emission is a kind of a must-do obligations for any company of today and in the future. And the fourth one is about the people skill gap, especially in the aspects of the digital. So let me just a little bit jump the detail into one by one. We on the this remote management and operation, throughout the pandemic experiences, we see that there are winners or companies overperform, and there are companies who are struggling with that. And the one common points who are the overperforming in these difficult times are those companies who has a digital infrastructure by which they are able to monitor, operate, predict the operations where they don't need to be a physical intervention. I think machine process in any case they requires the directions or the command from the either by the human being or by the software, right? So that's especially under this the situation that doesn't allow people to travel, it is quite obvious that the remote operations through the digital technology is becoming indispensable. That's number one. Supply chain disruption, I see 94% of the Fortune 1000 company, they have seen that the supply chain challenges. And the recent survey showed that only 10% of them supply chain felt completely prepared for that. So industrial business, I think, must become more resilient by focusing on the business-specific outcome and using the technologies to be agile and also to be multi-locally optimizing the supply chain. It's all about the resilience. It's all about having a different options in order to cope with any disruptive situation. Moving on to the carbon reduction. Look, the only thing we know in terms of this sustainability is that the regulations, pressures, and also obligations will require much more along the times to come. And any company who is running the company needs to pay attention a lot on this the carbon the reduction. Today, 32% of the carbons are from industry. In Korea, 37. Right after the power generations, which accounts for 38% of carbon emission. So it's just simple. If we don't address this power generation and industrial sectors, the world will never be greener. We will not let our second generation will have a proper handover over life from our generations. So reduction of the carbon is not optional. It requires the leadership. And today, when we look at our customer, when we meet the players and the customers in the market, the awareness and the responsibilities is not same as before. They are fully in line with the directions and the responsibilities for that. Now, the issue is that many of them, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to build a strategy, what roadmap they build, and how they should implement according to the roadmap. So these are something that as a challenges, mostly challenges translated into the loss impact of your P&L. But this also is an opportunity any companies to take as an advantages in the competition and industry with the carbon reduction program. Now, last but not the least is about the people. So, we are facing a lot of shortages nowadays, electronic shortages, primary material shortages, and so on. But in our industry, we are also suffering with the human shortage. I mean, especially in the technology, the sector, engineers and digital talents and so on. So how do we bring digital technologies to close the gap on the human side, especially around the competencies, is going to be the key essential the point. And second, how do we build enterprise more digital savvy, how the digital cultural things in order to really let's say supply the right the environment to the new generations, to new the digital talented people for their way of living, way of working. So these are the four challenges I see as a summary to your question, Professor.
Thank you, KR. You summarized the challenges very well. Limited remote oversight, supply chain disruptions, and carbon emission reduction, and skills gap or talent gap in the industry. Rick, I think as an Executive Vice President of International Operation, you are the right person to ask this question. What are 슈나이더's solutions for the frontline industries regarding these challenges?
Well, thank you very much for the question. I think KR has started to answer the question, and I will try to go a little bit deeper into it. Basically, we are trying to help industries to face the sustainability and efficiency challenges, and to do that, we are working with them in a journey which leads to a number of different integrations based on their digital own transformation. And all these integrations are enabling the sustainability and efficiency journey. So the first one is an integration between energy and automation. KR was describing very well what is the trend in energy landscape, which is going more decarbonized, more decentralized, with generation of power, notably, which is much closer from the usage in the industry. And this leads, of course, to a need of bringing together the automation of the process of the industry and the energy management of this industry together in the same platform, in a much closer platform, to enable optimization of energy usage and, of course, decarbonation and energy savings. So that's the first integration. Thanks to digital, we bring these two components together. The second one is that, of course, an industry can be very complex, can be multi-site, can be having things that are very close to a machine, but at the same time needing to be integrated to the ERP systems that are driving the output of the company and driving its performance as well from an economic standpoint. And this second integration is to bring together anything from the cloud to the shop floor in a seamless digital environment, which is enabling all the applications from AI, big data, IoT to work in an environment that is consistent, where data is well organized, data is well managed, and data is not lost. And this is where our work with Aveva, the industry software company of 슈나이더 Group, we provide an end-to-end solution enabling the design, the build, the operations, and the maintenance, as well as the full data lake management of industry data operations. PI system company enabling the data lake of industry to be very well managed in many companies in the world. So this integration from the cloud to really the shop floor in one data environment is really one key integration for which we work with customers. The third one, which is also an illustration of Aveva, is to integrate the life cycle. I was mentioning design, build, operate, and maintain, which is the classical life cycle of any type of infrastructure. 50 years ago, we were building industries that were here to last for 50 years, and then they were a living infrastructure without a permanent self-reference. Today, we are building digital twins, which are a digital mirror of the status of the industry, of a plant or several plants. And this digital twin is going to be following the life of this industry for all its life cycle, and will be enabling to do upgrades, to do operations, and to do maintenance, all this staying in the same digital environment, and of course, enabling also to do things such as predictive maintenance and augmented reality permanently to, for example, train people without putting them at risk in the danger zones of the factory, to also simulate some risk operations, simulate some optimization without having to touch directly the operations. So all these are enablements that are coming together with this life cycle management of the factory. The last integration is, of course, to go from the site to the integrated company management. Long time ago, again, each site had its own systems, its own reporting, its own environment. It was very hard to follow company-wide programs and KPIs such as sustainability or decarbonization KPIs, because there was a lack of shared platform, shared information. today, thanks to this integration from side-by-side to integrated company management, we can propose to our customers to have solutions who are company-wide, enabling, for example, energy efficiency programs at company-wide level, or enabling to follow some of their sustainability agenda core actions through all the sites and leveraging the site's action in a company plan. So we have done that with many companies in many different continents. For example, we have, if to give one example, with BlackRock Mining in South Africa, we have helped them to build their centralized operations and to consolidate their value chain. And thanks to that, they have increased their awareness of all the situations. And also in COVID times, this ability to have a company-wide monitoring and control really enables to make right decisions or to enable people on the side based on skills that you might have in the center as well. So this is, in a nutshell, the key elements of the journey that we are having thanks to these various integrations, all of them enabled by digital, and all of them, of course, fostering sustainability and efficiency.
Thank you for your answer. So the key word is integration, right? The integration of energy and automation, the integration between the cloud and the shop floor, and the integration along the life cycle of your product and services, and of course, the integration of your global operation, right? That's really interesting. But the bottleneck in global supply chain has become a critical problem due to the pandemic, right? And what do you think is the appropriate countermeasure in achieving these kind of integration?
Well, first, I think the last 2 years and a half have shown several tests on the global supply chain, not just one. So the one that we are living in today is more driven by speed of growth and electronics that are facing a bigger challenge than other sectors. But just remember, 2 years ago, we were facing lockdowns, border closures, supply chain disruption from a logistics standpoint. So, all through the last 2 years, I think the whole global supply chain capability has been put to test. And thanks to the efforts that were made before, notably in terms of localization, integration of full supply chain tracking, and resilience program on the supply chain, most of the global supply chains of the world have resisted well to this very high test, which is unprecedented in recent history, at least. So clearly, there are some lessons to be learned from the last 2 years and a half. Supply chain should not be just driven by a low cost of supply, low cost of delivery considerations, but of course, resilience is part of the necessary design element of a supply chain. And among the resilience, you have number of sources, you have alternative routes, you have elements that are driving the ability for the supply chain to recombine when something unexpected comes. And the recent history shows that unexpected things come often. The second element is that being global is great, but making sure that we localize or we have ecosystems that are regional or local is clearly one of the elements of performance and resiliency of the supply chain. And that's a direction that we have taken actually a long time ago at Schneider Electric. And clearly we are encouraged to continue in the same direction, making sure that, of course, we have a global capacity, but we also want to be very local and regional in our ability to do things in China for China, do things in India for India, do things in Europe for Europe, and in North America for North America, for example. That's how Schneider's strategy goes on a hub strategy, which is made of 4 hubs today, which are the 4 geographies that I mentioned, where we have a critical mass of suppliers, manufacturing, R&D, and of course, a big market to serve. And with this critical mass, we build more resiliency and also more performance from a supply chain standpoint. So that's in a nutshell the key directions that we have taken. Now, of course, we are still facing today an environment that is stressed in terms of supply chain. And as everyone, we are working on it to make sure that we make the best of possible in this environment to continue to serve our customers. And the rule number one for any kind of environment that has stressful elements is to stay close to the customers and to make sure that we anticipate on their needs. That's how we are trying to do our very best to serve them in this environment. And we are going to continue to follow that in the next few months, of course.
Thank you. While I was learning about 슈나이더 Electric, I learned that 슈나이더 Electric has so-called Lighthouse Factory. So KR, could you explain what is Lighthouse Factory and what effect it had with a real case? And if you can, please introduce a smart factory in Korea if you have one.
Yeah, thank you. We all know that the Lighthouse, the factory, is something that the World Economic Forum, what we call the Davos Forum, every year they select and they recognize. With 슈나이더 Electric, the company who provides the solutions to make our customers smarter. But at the same time, we are the company who runs over 200 factories, own factories. And this program goes back several years. And, for the objectives that we try to make our premises, our factories smart and to be a benchmark. So eventually, there are several factories the World Economic Forum has recognized within 슈나이더 Electric factories in North America, Europe, Asia, China. And one of the example I can pick, which is more close to the Korea, is the Indonesian one in Batam, where they are manufacturing the industrial, the automation and the control products. And this factory has been recognized by the World Economic Forum as a Lighthouse Factories, but at the same time, it's the first the national lighthouse of Indonesia, recognized by the Indonesian government. So we try to optimize the end-to-end efficiencies, bringing all the digital technologies that we are specialized in, and IT solutions and data analytics into, for the purpose of, number one, quality improvement, number two, asset performance, number three, on-time deliveries for our customers, energy efficiencies, and at the end, it's all about the people. How do we empower our people there, workers there, through this smart factory? So what comes out of it as a result, or although every year we are evolving. So 40% of the machine downtime has been reduced, and 40% reductions in the scrap cost for some critical machines, and 40% of on-time delivery to our customers has been improved. So these are the, just a few achievements out of many through this smart factory. Now, moving on to the Korea cases, we have a very small old factory, more than 40 years old factory we acquired 20 years ago. This factory produced the low voltage protection relays, motor protection relay, and about the 2 million relays we are producing per year. When we designed our factory in Korea here, basic objective from this smart the factory in Korea was really to help small and medium-sized enterprises in Korea to benchmark. We know Korea is one of the large manufacturing company. 80% of the plant is a small and medium-sized the company, and most of them are very kind of the old factory, over 20-30 years back. Now, for them, how they look and feel from the real example which is running today, for that are designed and to to be more focused for the SME size will be the good idea. So that's why we have at the beginning designed this smart factory more focusing on the SME. What we have implemented is a simple vertical integration. Rick talked about it, from cloud down to the shop floor. Horizontal integrations from supply chain, our manufacturing execution systems, and the customer satisfactions, the elements to monitor and to improve, and the cyber security around. Right. So these are the typical cases of smart factories that any of SME can replicate and they can get insight from us. So this is the example I can share with you as a smart factory story in Schneider Electric.
Thank you so much. So through digital transformation, the factories can be much more efficient and effective at the same time, and it can be essentially very helpful, especially for small and medium-sized enterprises in a country like Korea with heavy emphasis on manufacturing. So, KR, if I may ask you a follow-up question, what would you say to the industry executives in Korea, for example, where the manufacturing sector is so strong, and with your insight about smart factories and digital transformation, what's your take?
If I look at the Korea, I think the Korea will remain as a strong the country of manufacturing, and eventually our growth and the innovations a lot will stay with the manufacturing area. But at the same time, the market is evolving. We see that the diverse challenges and the diverse opportunities from the every directions nowadays. So if I'm humble, but if I can recommend to the any decision makers in the industry, there are a couple of points which will never be get away, which will stay as either challenges or opportunities for us. We talk a lot about the resiliency and agility before, but there is the technologies already available. So how do we make sure that all the entire investment to be supported by this digital is going to be the number one things. And today, if you look at all the decision making, it has been siloed, it has been segregated, and it has not been well woven into to gain the full maximum value. Rick talked about the 4 integrations before. The second is about the sustainability strategy. So any company should build the sustainability strategies and the roadmap really to meet the increasing pressures and the responsibilities on the climate changes. And there are companies like Schneider Electric who could provide the consultations for them to build strategy and the roadmap as well. People on the talents, especially digital talent, digital skill sets, how do we make our Korean employees and the companies to be more digital savvy and the digital innovative is going to be the also important recommendation I want to make.
Thank you for your assuring recommendations. It has already been 40 minutes. So let me give you the last question, Rick. It all boils down to achieving sustainability through digital transformation. So I want to hear Schneider's aspirations toward the future, and if you have any advice for Korean small and medium-sized enterprise executives, owners, I would especially appreciate that too.
Thank you very much. Well, first, thanks for this opportunity again. And it's been a pleasure really to share with you and with our partners and customers all the opportunities that are open to the future thanks to digital transformation, automation, and electricity 4.0 for more sustainability and efficiency in industry in the near future. My main advice, which is also lessons learned, is that as we tend to say, Rome has not been built in one day. So that's really a journey that needs many steps and is more made of many baby steps than a big day, because it takes the transformation of existing infrastructure, existing processes, most of the time in an environment that is already predefined or pretty complex. So it's more step-by-step transformations that are leading to this sustainable journey. And that's why everything that KR has mentioned about open architecture, agile environment, enabling several vendors or several companies to work together, and not just something that comes together in one day completely locked forever, is the best approach for these transformations. And that's really the philosophy that Schneider has been developing and is promoting with our customers and partners, so that the next step can bring and add on in the sustainability and efficiency journey, maybe focusing on just part of the company or part of the sites, but having a direct benefit that will then lead to the next step. And that's by doing this and by enhancing the level of the bar every year that we are all working towards sustainability and efficiency, and hopefully creating a positive impact for the planet. So that's really our wish. And of course, we are here to share more. And I'm very much looking forward to be able to do that very soon in Korea in person.
Right. Thank you, Rick, for your answers and your time as well. So yeah, I really look forward to watching Schneider Electric achieving those goals in the near future. And I learned a lot today, certainly, and I hope our audience has learned from your insights. And whenever this pandemic ends, I hope that we can have you in person and have a much more interesting and interactive session.
With pleasure, and this will be before the pandemic ends, unfortunately, because I don't know when the end can be, as soon as possible.
Certainly. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, KR.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you, Professor Moon. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, KR. Thank you.